Hi, welcome to another tutorial with me. My name is Ivan. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a snow scene like this. Just a few layers, different layer adjustments, and after that we'll go into Camera Raw and create the haze, and after that I'll teach you how to create the falling snow. So this is our original image, and as you can see it looks quite good filled with snow like that. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is reduce the hue and saturation. So we just go to the adjustments panel and find hue and saturation. So in this image we want the greens and yellows. You can see a bit of yellow in here. We want those to be desaturated. So under this menu here you want to go to greens, and we just want to take the saturation all the way down. As you can see, it hasn't affected everything because there's quite a lot of yellow in there. So let's go to our yellows as well, and decrease saturation on that. There we go. Okay, so that looks, it's kind of turning it black and white, but only the greens and yellows, because when in the snow scenes there is a little bit of color. So should we turn it up just a little bit? Let's turn it up just a touch, just to keep a little bit of color in there. Okay, so with that done, you want to create a black and white layer adjustment. We are going to be deleting that, but this is just for creating a selection. So basically we want those yellows and greens to be white, because we're going to be creating a channel out of this. And everything we don't want, so we're just changing it a little bit, like the skies, the blue, and the hut you can see here is the red channel. So we want to make those darker. It's not getting too dark on here, but we are going to sort that out later. So everything that's white is visible, everything that's black isn't visible. Okay, so we've got our black and white layer selected, We've done our adjustments there. We want to go over to channels, and you can see here you've got the different options, and you've got your black and white mask. What you want to do, just control click on any of the thumbnails to make a selection. So you can see it's all selected around here. Go back to your layers and let's delete the black and white. And now you want to create a solid color adjustment. And we want this to be not 100% white, but just under, and hit OK. Okay, and once you've done that, you want to go to your layer mask. You want to select your brush tool, and you want it to be your foreground color white, because we're painting on the mask, so everything that's white is visible. I've got my hardness all the way down to 0. And now what we want to do is just paint in the background, just around wherever you want this to be. You're going to see the effects afterwards, so don't worry about that. And just a quick tip while I'm doing this, if you lift your brush and it doesn't work, if you keep having to brush, I'll show you what to do. So every time you lift your brush, what we're going to do now, you're going to go to Edit and Fade Brush Tool, and you fade it as much as you want. It's kind of causing a haze kind of feel to it. So I've got mine down to, let's say 50%. If you lift your brush and carry on painting, it will only do this to your last brush stroke. So make sure that you do it every time, or just keep your brush down and it will do it all for you. Okay, now what we want to do is create the snow on the ground in the foreground over here. You can use whichever tool you want. I'm going to use my pen tool, and I'm just going to create a selection just around here. It doesn't have to be perfect, because you know snow is not always straight, or it's a little bit it's got bumps here and there, so we just create it around here. You can use your lasso tool if you want. I just like using the pen tool for these things. Okay, and I'm going to right click and make a selection. I don't want any feathering. Yeah, if you want to use your lasso tool, just up here on the toolbar, and lasso tool will be a bit quicker than the pen tool for you. And you want to go to your layer adjustments and solid color. There we go. So we want that not 100% white, but just under again, and hit OK. Now with that done, we want to create a texture for the snow. So double click on the color fill and it will bring up the options here for you. You want to click bevel and emboss and click texture. Once you've got your texture, you can choose whichever one you want. You can go down here to artist surfaces, just click OK there, and you can go through them to see which fits your snow best. And judging by this, I'm going to use a different one than I used the first time, but you don't want it to be too formal, so you want it to be scattered a little bit. I'm going to let's choose that one. That's the original one I used anyway, so I was just going through to see what they look like. So you can change the scale and the depth here. I'm going to have mine quite big just to change the scale a bit, so I've moved it up to 100. And the depth, that's up to you, how you want it to look. I'm going to keep mine at plus 59%. And we want to go back to the bevel and emboss, and you can change everything here as well. You want to choose what scale and size, everything you can do in here as well. And you can soften it to make it a little bit blurred. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that's that one done. You can play here with the shadow modes as well, just to decrease and increase the shadows and the highlights, just so you can get it perfect for yourself. So I'm just going through this quickly because it's just for the tutorial's purposes really. I've got my gradient all set up already from when I was doing this the other day. You want to click your gradient and you want to choose black to white. And you'll see it pop up here. Let me reset to default actually so I can show it all. So black to white, hit OK. You can move it around however you want it and change the opacity just a little bit so it's not too there in your face, if you know what I mean. And the scale as well you can change and hit OK. Okay, so what we need to do now is add some snow to the rooftops and other places. So I'm just going to close that. I'm just going to rename this foreground snow, just so we know that it's there. So we just want to make another selection. I'm going to use the polygon lasso tool now. I'm just going to zoom in here, just so we can get the top. And clicking all around. Wherever you think the snow is going to be, just click there. Make the selection around. Okay, so I've selected the top of the roof. I'm just going to zoom out here, Control and 0. And you want to add another solid color film. And again, I'm just going to decrease the white just a touch and hit OK. So you want to add the same effects as you did on the foreground snow here. Just double click on the layer and bevel and emboss and texture. So you can see here that it saves everything that you've done and hit OK. What you want to do now, click on the layer mask because we're going to be painting some more snow. I'm just going to zoom in again and just center it a bit. You want to go to your brush tool, make sure the foreground color is white, and don't forget to make sure your colorful mask is selected. And as we know, snow isn't straight, so we're just going to paint in a little bit. Actually, hold on. So I'm going to change my hardness to 100% and paint around here, just like that. So it's not 100% straight. Get rid of the hard lines as well, which we know it doesn't happen. There we go. And wherever else you think snow will settle, because it's falling, it will land on different things. Sorry, that's a very bad job over there. Over there. I'm just going to increase the size and put a stripe along here. So I'm using my mouse here, so I'm struggling to draw straight lines. And where else would it settle? It should settle up here. Let's just do one line going down here. Just along there. Anywhere else you think snow would settle when it's falling? I'll just put a blob over there. Just anywhere really. So I'm just going to leave mine like that. I might just do click there. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm just going to leave it like that for the minute and go on to the next stage. Okay, so what we want to do now, holding down Control, Alt, Shift and E, we're going to merge the layer onto one, which is up at the top here now. And the reason we do that is because we're going to go into the camera raw filter and it needs a flattened image. So camera raw filter is just up here, filter and camera raw filter. Once you've clicked that, it will open this camera raw box for you. And you want to go to effects, and over here you can see dehaze. It's up to you how much you want. I'm not going to do it too much, but we are going to change the opacity if you want. I'm going to put it about -16, gives it that nice haze, and click OK. There we go. So that's the before and that's the after. Okay, so now we want to make the snow layer. So snow layers, sorry. So you want to create a new layer. Hit Shift and delete, backspace, sorry. You want to fill it with your foreground color, which for me is white. If it's not, you just want to hit the arrows there to change them. And if they're different colors, hit D and then X and hit OK. So now we've got the white layer. You want to go up to Filter and Noise, and you want to add noise. And you want to hit it all the way up to 400%, and it's under Uniform and Monochromatic, and hit OK. Now what you want to do, you want to go to Filter, Blur and Gaussian Blur, and you want it to just distort it to start from the beginning. My document size is quite large, so yours may be different, and just hit it up until it's a bit blurred out. For me, 3.6 pixels is perfect, and hit OK. And now you want to go to Image, Adjustments and Threshold, and again this will be different for you depending on the size of your document. Mine's at 128, which is good enough, but you can adjust it if you want. Slide it to the left if you want less, and slide it to the right. Oh, we don't want to do that. Not so much. So I'm going to keep mine. Yeah, 125 is good enough for me, and hit OK. And now the spots are black, which we don't want. We want them to be white. So you're going to hit Control and I to inverse it. And there we go. So that is perfect. And now you want to change the layer mode. The layer mode to screen, because that gets rid of the dark pixels and reveals the light pixels. And there we go. You can see your snow over here. So that's just the first part of it. I'm going to duplicate the layer twice, hitting Control and J, and I'm going to hide the first two, because you have to do the snow in stages, because you get snow in the background, you get snow in the foreground, and snow in the middle. So let's start with the background snow. So I've got my snow layer here. I'm going to hit Control and T to transform it. Holding down Shift, I'm going to just drag it down to about there, because we want it quite small, don't we, um, for the background. And hit enter. Okay, you want to duplicate the layer, and actually and we go to our move tool and just drag the other one up. You will see some lines, but don't worry about that. Hit Ctrl J again and move it to the other side, and Ctrl J again and move it down. Okay, we are going to delete this part here because we don't want to see that. So holding down Shift, have your top layer selected and click your bottom layer and hit Ctrl and E. Oops, that did not work the way I wanted it to. Ctrl and Z. You can see a little space there. Actually, that'll be fine. So Ctrl and E. Let's change the layer mode to screen again. That actually works quite fine. And just hit enter because your screen will be selected there. I'm going to go to my eraser tool, and I'm going to have it quite big because I want to erase this foreground snow around here, because we don't want the small snow in the front. Okay, so that's that one done. So you can see it over there, and before and after. It's a bit hard to see. I'm actually going to delete a bit of it up here as well, so we can just see it basically behind the cabin there by the mountain range. Okay, so this is our foreground snow. It's up to you if you want to keep it like that or not. Not our foreground snow, our middle snow, sorry. So I'm going to keep mine like that because I think that looks good. And your foreground snow, just activate the layer. Hit Control and T, and I'm going to hit Control and minus to zoom out quite a bit because we want those snow, the snow to be quite big. Sorry. So hitting Shift and Alt, you want to drag it so it keeps its proportions. There we go. So it's getting quite large now, and there we go. So hit Enter. I'm going to hit Control and 0 to full screen, and there we go. And now something I forgot, which is my bad, sorry. Let's move those again, remove them, and go to Filter and Blur and Motion Blur. And you basically want to do it so it looks like the snow's falling, but don't do it too far because you don't want it to look like rain. So you can just test it yourself, and because they're quite small, the background ones, they won't need a lot of doing. That looks good, 6 pixels. And then you want to activate your middle layer and do exactly the same, motion blur. And if it doesn't look great, just keep blurring it until you think it is right. There we go, that looks like it's falling now. You can see it perfectly over here by the hut. And the last one is the foreground snow. So filter, motion blur. And that will take a bit longer because it's quite a large file. Filter, motion blur. And should I do one more? Let's do one more. Motion blur. There we go. I'm going to do one more. Let's actually see if we can do it a lot more. Motion blur. So you don't want to overdo it, again, because it will start looking like rain. There, so I've got mine at 20 pixels, and hit OK. And there we go. So that's, let me just crop it here so we don't get the outside snow. And that's as simple as that. What I want to do as well quickly, the hue and saturation, that's why we made it an adjustment layer, so we can go in and change it. I'm not happy with the blue in the sky here. I want to decrease that quite a bit. So the cyans, we move down, and let's go to the blues as well. There we go. That's not working because we've merged the layer over here, so you can add another hue saturation layer and change it there. Cyans, let's decrease that, there we go, that looks a bit better. And the blues, let's take that down just a touch. And there we go. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please don't forget to like, comment and share. I have many more to come. Thank you very much.